Entering the office, I punched the time card. "Work's done for today," said the boss. The moment she said it, I felt warmth on my back. The boss had wrapped her arms around me from my back to my stomach. I was frozen. "Thank you so much for today." My heart was pounding wildly. "My name is Mike. I'm 30 years old. All this is good too. Oh, and I got to remember to include that. Working at a linen company, mainly handling deliveries, I never skimp on preparations before heading out. Can't afford to have anything go wrong, especially today." "Hey Mike, you still not ready?" I hear Miss Taylor, the boss, calling out to me. That's right, she's supposed to accompany me today. There's a meeting scheduled at the inn we're delivering to. Usually, she works alone, but today our schedules matched, and she decided to ride along in my delivery van. I hurriedly checked the contents of my bag. All right, this should be good. Did I miss anything? I've always been someone who can't rest unless I'm thoroughly prepared. I remember packing for a school trip with my mom, who's just like me. We ended up with 2 large bags, and my dad was not pleased. What if it gets cold suddenly? What if I get sick? Headache? Stomach ache? Fever? The possibilities are endless. Lost in thought, I'm startled when Miss Taylor zips up my bag. "Ah," I scream, and she gives me a sharp look. Even that look is beautiful. Miss Taylor, 2 years older than me, is exceptionally beautiful. Her slightly upturned eyes are crisply double-lidded and beautifully made up. Her jawline is sharp, and her lips are thin. She has an incredible figure. Aware of her own beauty, she wears a suit that elegantly highlights her physique. While glaring at me, she tries to lift my bag and exclaims, "Heavy. What on earth is in here? We're not staying overnight, you know. The inn is just an hour's drive away. Why do you need so much stuff?" Her loud reprimand sends my thoughts spinning. Well, there's a snow forecast today, and the inn is up in the mountains, so it's going to be cold. I slowly try to explain. Miss Taylor interrupts me. Even so, the car is heated, and the parking lot isn't far from the entrance of the inn. Whether it's cold or snowing, it doesn't matter. No sooner had she said this, Miss Taylor turned away briskly. "Come on, we have to go or we'll run out of time." Urged by her words, I hastily shouldered my bag and followed her. I was glad I'd already finished the car's inspection and warmed up the engine. Miss Taylor quickly got into the passenger seat and crossed her arms and legs, as if urging me to hurry up. I rushed into the driver's seat and stepped on the accelerator. Now it's just a drive alone with a beautiful boss. Trying to suppress my excitement, I focused on driving safely. "Should I fill up the gas tank on the way?" I asked. Miss Taylor made an obviously displeased face at my question and then checked the gas meter. "Let's do it on the way back. There's enough left." She made a swift decision and looked forward. But before I could say anything else, Miss Taylor cut me off. "We're already cutting it close because of your slow preparation. The innkeeper is a busy person, and I don't want to be late." There was nothing I could say to that. Indeed, there was just enough gas left for a round trip. As much as I wanted to play it safe, I didn't want to add to Miss Taylor's anxiety. I nodded and focused on driving. As we drove deeper into the mountains, the houses grew sparse. The inn, nestled deep in the mountains, became popular after being featured on TV. It's known for its secluded spa. Delivering freshly cleaned sheets and covers to the inn and collecting used ones is my job. Usually, I deliver to various inns and hotels, but today it's just this one inn. Since Miss Taylor is accompanying me, the other deliveries are being handled by a different employee. Though Miss Taylor said I could relax at the spa while she's in her meeting, I plan to read in the lobby. Relaxing at the spa during work hours doesn't feel right, even with her permission. The road to the inn becomes quite narrow halfway through. It's almost a struggle for cars to pass each other. But since the inn is at the end of the road, and the times for checkouts and check-ins are different, we suppliers try to avoid the guests' usual travel times to prevent difficult encounters with other cars. As we reach the single-lane part, the snow starts to get heavier. Consequently, the car in front of us slows down. Miss Taylor is getting anxious about making it on time, but there's no room to overtake the car ahead. I keep a safe distance and follow it quietly. What's going on? But then the car in front comes to a complete stop. It's inevitable. There's a line of cars ahead. Traffic jam here of all places. That's the last thing we expected. We were stuck. Likely the car at the front couldn't move, causing a jam with the cars behind. I contacted the inn to inform them. They weren't aware of the situation and promised to investigate immediately. They understood our delay due to the circumstances and kindly accepted it. I reported back to Miss Taylor with a smile, but she kept her brows furrowed, staring ahead. What a day for this to happen. Today's meeting is crucial for future contracts, including sales pitches for new products Miss Taylor has been keen to launch. It's an important product she's been nurturing, and she passionately wants this long-time client to be the first to use it. I rummaged through my bag and pulled out a thermos. I poured its contents into a paper cup I always keep handy and offered it to Miss Taylor. Let's stay calm. The innkeeper is concerned about us. It's okay, this is herbal tea. Please have some. As I handed her the cup, Miss Taylor's eyes widened in surprise. You have something like this in your bag? I nodded. When I'm driving alone, I sometimes get edgy. Herbal tea calms me down more than coffee, I said with a smile. Miss Taylor laughed. With your build, isn't that a bit too much of a feminine touch? I just scratched my head. Playing rugby since I was young, I'm quite well built, especially with broad shoulders, which can make narrow cars feel cramped for others. Thankfully, today's car is spacious, allowing Miss Taylor to relax and savor the tea. It's good. It seemed to ease her mind a bit. I had hoped we would start moving soon, but there was no progress. This could be quite a serious situation. 30 minutes after stopping, I began to realize the severity of our situation. The snow kept falling heavily. Now I was concerned about the gap and the risk of carbon monoxide poisoning from keeping the engine running. In hindsight, we should have filled up earlier. Miss Taylor seemed to share this thought. Maybe we should turn off the engine for a bit. I wondered how long the gas will last. We should have filled up earlier. Sorry. Seeing her anxious face, I replied with a smile. It's all right. While saying this, I pulled an aluminum sheet, a blanket from my bag, and some hand warmers, surprising Miss Taylor again. For now, please use these, Miss Taylor. I'm going to shovel snow away from the car's exhaust pipe. With that, I stepped out of the car. The cold air bit at my skin. The lack of wind was a relief, but it also meant the snow piled up faster. I began shoveling around the exhaust pipe with a shovel I had loaded in advance. A man from the car behind asked to borrow it. Thinking it would keep me warmer to stay active, I lightly cleared snow around the nearby cars as well. Returning to our car, Miss Taylor looked surprised again. You had a shovel too. Who are you really? I chuckled wryly. Well, I'm just naturally cautious and like to be prepared. Something similar happened to me before. A few years back, I was stuck in a similar situation while out with a friend in their car. My optimistic friend had no emergency supplies, so we relied on my emergency food and blankets. It was quite harsh. Since then, I always keep various items in my car, especially during winter, in case we get stuck in the snow. Miss Taylor sighed. Sorry, Mike. You had your reasons for all the preparation, and here I was rushing you and mocking it. Her voice was muffled as she buried her face in the blanket. No, it's just a coincidence. It's best when nothing happens, but I know I over-prepare for just-in-case situations. Sometimes I feel like I'm wasting time. I wanted to lighten her mood, so I rummaged through my bag. This time, my wasted time preparation is helping you, and honestly, that makes me happy, I said as I offered her some chocolate. Miss Taylor looked up, silently taking the chocolate and bringing it to her mouth. She broke a piece off the bar with her thin lips. Miss Taylor sighed again. I'm useless, aren't I? Coming here in light clothing, thinking it wouldn't be cold, and now taking your blanket. In situations like this, I can't do anything. What's wrong with me? I was taken aback. What are you saying? You're young but have successfully taken over the company, and you're great at sales and very efficient. As I continued, Miss Taylor gave a sad smile. You're kind, but see, in times like these, what's the use of being good at work? At work, I'm always tense, not very endearing. Here I am just drinking your herbal tea, wrapped in your blanket, eating chocolate, while you offered me all these things and even shoveled snow from other cars. I feel the difference in our human capabilities. I feel so useless. The time felt endless, and I worried about this unusual dejection from Miss Taylor, so different from her usual self. Then I decided to share a memory I had been hesitant to talk about. Miss Taylor, you're not useless at all. She gave a wry smile. You don't have to cheer me up. But I looked straight at her. I was once helped by you. Her eyes widened in surprise. It was about 5 years ago. I think I was at a stadium to watch a soccer match. The joy of being at the stadium was the food. Hot dogs, pizza, fried chicken, and I always ate hot dogs. It was bitterly cold in the stadium during winter. Wearing a down jacket my father had bought me as an employment gift, I sat in my seat, took a big bite of my hot dog, and then, ah, as I shouted, the hot dog fell onto my stomach. I panicked. I thought about the expensive down jacket my father had given me. I couldn't bear the thought of it being stained. Rummaging through my bag, I pulled out a towel. Just then, a sharp female voice rang out. Wait. Frozen by her cry, I watched as she snatched the towel from my hand and gave me a stern look. Don't rub it with that. You'll make the stain permanent. The woman, stunningly beautiful, was oblivious to my awestruck gaze. She took out a handkerchief and gently wiped off the ketchup and mustard. Then, she dampened the other side of the handkerchief with a little water from her thermos. This is plain hot water. Hot water at a stadium. I thought to myself, she must be a very thoughtful person. You don't scrub stains, you transfer them onto a damp cloth or diso like this. As she said this, she pressed that handkerchief against the stained area. Oh, but now your handkerchief will get dirty, I panicked. But the woman just chuckled. That's what I hoped you'd realize when I wiped off the ketchup and mustard. Her point made me hang my head. Seeing this, she smiled. This handkerchief is just an ordinary one you can find anywhere, but your down jacket is expensive, right? Excuse me for a moment. Saying so, she turned my jacket inside out to check the tag. I thought so. Make sure you take it to the cleaners when you get home. It's a special jacket to you, isn't it? Her smile made my heart flutter. We didn't talk much after that. The game ended in a 0-0 draw, so there weren't many exciting moments, and I spent the break sneaking glances at her, too captivated to focus on the game. Finishing my story, I said, So you see, Miss Taylor, you're not useless. I think you help people without even realizing it, like you naturally spoke to a guy sitting next to you and left a lasting impression. Miss Taylor seemed a bit embarrassed but joked. True, something like that did happen, but I remember you were bigger, spilling into my seat. I was at a loss for words. Back then, I was in an office job that didn't suit me, snacking during work and gobbling down fried foods afterward, using food to cope with stress. I was at my heaviest, and with my rugby player build, I was quite large. Sorry for invading your space, Miss Taylor. I apologized belatedly, and she burst into laughter. But you remembered all this time. Did you recognize me at the job interview? I simply nodded in response, admitting I remembered her from staring at a beautiful, efficient woman dealing with a stain. It felt too embarrassing to say out loud. I was truly shocked during the interview. The face I'd embarrassingly remembered for 5 years suddenly appeared in front of me. Already not great with words, my nervousness made the interview a disaster. I was sure I'd be rejected, so being hired surprised me even more. Curiosity got the better of me, and I decided to ask, Why did you hire me? I was so nervous in front of you. I thought I did terribly. Miss Taylor smiled at my question. You look strong. My face turned as red as a boiled lobster. This job can be quite tough, you know. Even people who are confident in their physical strength find it hard and quit, but you seemed like you could handle it. I wished she hadn't phrased it like some sort of faux compliment. My misunderstanding had my cheeks burning. I looked at the clock. It had been an hour since we were stuck. Miss Taylor's words, "You look strong," gave me courage. I'll go check out the front. As I said this, Miss Taylor hastily grabbed my down jacket. It was the same jacket she'd helped me with back then, and I still treasure it. You don't even know where the front of the line is, right? And it's still snowing. Maybe we should just wait here. Miss Taylor's lips had lost their color even though she had been wearing lipstick. I wanted to get her to a warm place quickly. There are plenty of hand warmers in here. Please use them. There's also more tea in the thermos. As I was explaining the contents of my bag, Miss Taylor grabbed the area around my chest. Don't go. Her trembling voice, filled with anxiety, stirred my heart. I want to be of help to you, Miss Taylor. If it seems impossible, I'll come right back. Saying this, I took the shovel and stepped outside. From where the road becomes a single lane to the end, it's a little over 4 miles. We were stranded about 1.2 miles in, so the front of the line should be no more than 3 miles away. Since the inn wasn't aware of the situation, the jam must have started just a bit ahead of us. Bridging through the accumulating snow, I made my way up the mountain path. I was confident in my strength and my legs. Silently, I climbed the snowy path, fueled by Miss Taylor's smile. Fortunately, I found the lead car not too far ahead. It seemed a car had slipped, ending up sideways across the road with its wheels caught in a ditch on the side. Inside were people with exhausted faces. They explained that the shoulder of the road was obscured by snow, and when they slipped, they ended up stuck in the ditch. Passengers of the lead car, along with those from the cars behind, had tried to help get the vehicle out, but many were tourists and unaccustomed to snow, and their efforts were in vain. The blocked road had caused a standstill on both sides, likely preventing rescue from the inn. I approached people who looked like they could help. They said pushing hadn't budged the car, so I suggested lifting it. I was confident in my strength. A few, inspired by my bulky build, joined in with a glimmer of hope. We cleared some surrounding snow with shovels and coordinated our efforts to lift the heavy van-type vehicle. Although it was a struggle, the car budged slightly. Encouraged, we exerted more force, spreading our feet for balance, keeping our centers of gravity low, and tensing our stomachs. We lifted with greater strength than before. Gradually, the car began to rise, and I exerted every bit of my strength. Finally, the wheels that were stuck in the ditch came onto the road. Cheers erupted at that moment. I received many thanks, but eager to share the good news with Miss Taylor, I hurried back, compacting the snow as much as I could along the way. Returning to the car, Miss Taylor's eyes sparkled with relief. Seeing her face so adorably relieved made my heart skip a beat. When I explained everything, Miss Taylor looked at me with moist eyes. "That's incredible," she said, caressing my arm over the down jacket. I blushed with embarrassment. In the car, just the two of us, the silence made my heart pound. Miss Taylor's touch on my arm felt so close, I could hear our breathing. I thought about confessing my feelings, telling her I'd liked her since the day she fixed my jacket, but just then, the car ahead started its engine and began to move. "It's moving?" snapped back to reality by Miss Taylor's happy words. I took a deep breath and started our car's engine. The confession would have to wait. Reminding myself there would be another time, I slowly continued up the mountain road. At the end, many people in the lobby wore relieved expressions. Seeking warmth, the staff had turned up the heating and prepared stoves. Miss Taylor decided to postpone her business meeting and help me with my work. "The innkeeper is really busy," she said. As she said this, Miss Taylor helped carry the bed covers. I used to do deliveries when my father was in charge too. Her efficiency at work was impressive, and I found myself admiring her all over again. During my work, word spread that I had helped clear the standstill, and the innkeeper showered me with excessive praise, even offering me a free stay voucher. "We couldn't have managed it ourselves. You were a great help." "Thank you so much. Please use this voucher with someone special," she said with a sly grin, glancing at Miss Taylor, who seemed oblivious and just smiled at me saying, "That's nice." I realized I needed to make her aware of my feelings for any progress. I made up my mind in the car on the way back. My heart was pounding loudly. Though I decided to confess, I didn't know how or when to bring it up, my heart just racing in my chest. Finally, I mustered a little courage. Are you hungry? Maybe we could grab a bite to eat." Before I could finish, Miss Taylor cut me off. "We're still on duty. We're at work until we reach the office. You might be hungry, but focus on driving," she said bluntly. My little burst of courage deflated instantly. I had decided to confess today, but now that feeling was gone. The rest of the ride was silent, but we made it back safely. After refueling, entering the office, I punched the time card. "Work's done for today." The moment Miss Taylor said that, I felt a gentle touch on my back. She had wrapped her arm around me from my back to my stomach. I froze. "Thank you so much for today. How about we go for dinner later?" My heart was pounding wildly. I struggled to find words. I felt Miss Taylor's grip tighten. "You're really big. I have to hold on tight or it feels like I'll let go." The down jacket probably made my waist look bigger than it is, but that's not what mattered now. Confused about what this all meant, I felt like my brain might short-circuit. Your hand. Just wanted to calm down for a moment, but when I spoke, Miss Taylor's voice sounded a bit sad, and her grip loosened. Is this bothering you? Startled, I hurriedly grasped both of her hands in mine. Hearing her surprised voice, I made up my mind. I couldn't see her face, which was probably for the best. I like you, I blurted out. The words echoed in the silent, empty office. I couldn't see Miss Taylor's expression. I had no idea what emotions were behind her puzzled response, so I let out everything I've been holding back. I'm sorry. Ever since you fixed my down jacket at the stadium, I've been captivated by you. That's why I recognized you right away during the interview. Working with you, seeing how efficiently you handle things, my feelings only grew stronger. Even seeing you look worried when you work late made my heart skip a beat. It hurt that I couldn't do anything for you, but today, did I manage to be of any help to you? After my outpouring, a brief silence fell. Yes, you really helped, and you were very reliable. Miss Taylor's sweet voice came from behind me, but her words made me shudder slightly. Next time, take me with you. I'll make sure I'm properly dressed for the cold. I let go of her hands and stepped away from her. Then I turned to face her. Does that mean? Before I could finish my stupid voice question, Miss Taylor pursed her lips. I didn't like waiting alone. It seems waiting is just not in my nature. With that, she stood on her tiptoes and kissed my cheek. I embraced her slender frame with all my strength. A year has passed since then. Today, we're getting married. Emily, all prepared, appeared in front of me dressed in a pure white gown. She looked like a goddess. Months after the snowball incident, we used a free stay voucher at the inn. When the innkeeper saw us arm in arm in the lobby, she greeted us with a beaming smile. It blossomed into something beautiful, she whispered with a knowing look. She had a knack for observing people and quickly realized I had feelings for Emily. Embarrassed by her comment, she whispered something else in my ear. Emily looked at me lovingly that day. This revelation initially made me anxious. What if our relationship was just a product of the suspension bridge effect? Once the excitement faded, would Emily question her feelings for me? With these fears, I continued our relationship, feeling like I was walking a tightrope. Nervously, I proposed. Emily accepted joyfully, but I confessed my fears, feeling guilty. She laughed it off. Is that what you were thinking? Silly. Maybe it's my fault for not saying this earlier. She pursed her lips, a habit when she had something difficult to say. I've always liked strong men. During the interview, I thought you were handsome, she said. Her words made me feel like I was burning up with embarrassment. Of course, I hired you because I thought you'd be good at the job, but I admired your dedication at work too. You're a bit too serious, getting everything prepared, which worried me since I'm impatient. She took my hand. But with you, I feel like I can slow down in life. I love the peacefulness I feel when I'm with you. So please make me your wife. This washed away all my worries, and today I approach our wedding feeling serene. The burden of running the company had been heavy on Emily. Her father's sudden passing left her with no time to grieve as she took on the responsibilities. I want to be there to ease her burden. Looking up at the clear sky visible from the chapel, I vowed to make Emily happy.